Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. Can I just say you have fully pulled me into the dark with you? You retweeted Roland Martin, who said Merrick Garland is too weak to be Attorney General, and you said, I didn't even write this one. Yes, you pulled me after her report. I'm pulled fully into the
Thank you. Right.
yeah.
That was one of the worst attorney general decisions I have seen. Now, granted, when I talk about Merrick Garland, it's important to understand he's obviously better than Bill Barr.
Yes.
Okay, he's obviously better than the large penis toilet bowl salesman that was Matthew Whitaker, who was acting attorney general between Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr.
Sidebar,
right?
Your Honor, I believe it was a big ball toilet. If you're, that's what it was from. Not necessarily. Okay, never mind. That's not important, Your Honor. Go ahead.
Endowed toilet bowl
There you go.
salesman, right? So like there are levels here, right? And I'm not saying that Garland is worse than what we just went through, but given where we are in this country, given the moment that Merrick Garland finds himself in, I have found him to be weak. I have found him to be ineffectual, and with the Her report, I found him to be actively hurting the progress of democracy. People need to understand, because I don't think it's obvious to a lot of people, prosecutors are not supposed to release reports about people they don't charge, because it's not fair. Right? Like, if you're going to charge me, all right, charge me, and then we'll go to court, and we'll have an opportunity to exonerate myself in a court of law, right?
Comey was not supposed to be a verb. Comey's not supposed to be a verb. We're not supposed to.
Right?
Yes.
But if you're not going to charge me, then you can't write this whole report slandering me, which I effectively have no way to counteract. I can't examine your evidence. I can't cross-examine your witnesses, because you're not even going to charge me. So it's fundamentally unfair. What Her did was fundamentally unfair, but Garland authorized her to do it, read the report, and then released that hit job of a report to the public. It is an atrocious decision, but it links up with everything else I've ever said about Garland.
Yeah, but us bending over backwards trying to be fair, Ellie, has gotten us where we are now going, okay, so a guy that is compromised to the tune of, I don't know, $400 million, we might give, national security briefings to soon, and the nuclear codes again. I mean, this is where we are on a timing. I mean, I don't know what you think is it Friday? Is the day because we were, as Liz Cheney and others have said, this is what total immunity looks like. What Vladimir Putin has. That's what Donald Trump wants. Well, what do you think is going to happen at the Supreme Court, and when? Do you have any idea?
Oh, so there are two things going on, right? One is whether or not he's going to get kicked off the ballot for being an insurrectionist, right? That's not going well. They had arguments about the Colorado ballot access case on February 8th. From where I sat, I heard 9-0 to put Trump back on the ballot. That's the 6 conservatives and all 3 liberals putting Trump on the ballot. Like, I don't think that he's going to be kicked off. Even the liberals aren't going to go for it. So we can talk about that. That's very sad. On the immunity question, look, Trump's immunity argument is one of the most ridiculous things that you have ever heard. It flies in the face of the concept of a rule of law, right? He was overturned 3-0 by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. If it ever gets to the Supreme Court on the merits, I expect he'll lose, and I expect he'll lose hard. I think it could be 9-0. Worst case scenario, I think it's 7-2 with the compromise Clarence and Jenny Thomas dissenting, as well as woman hater Samuel Alito, right? Like, I could see it 7-2 if it gets to the merits. But the question is not really, will it get to the merits? The question is not really, will he lose ultimately? Because of course he will. The question is whether or not the Supreme Court will grant a stay, thus preventing his trial from going forward in front of Judge Tanya Chutkan, while they figure out that, of course, his immunity argument is ridiculous. And I think that given the politics of the Supreme Court, given the parties of the justices, I think there's unfortunately a very good chance that they have 5 votes to grant a stay and delay Trump's trial even further, at least until the Supreme Court rules, which will probably be sometime in June. If you start the clock, middle of June for his trial, that means potentially that he is able to get all the way through the Republican National Convention before his
Right.
trial starts, at which point it becomes just very difficult to try him at all. So the big question is the stay. They need 5 votes to grant. They need
Yeah.
4 votes to take the case. They need 5 votes to grant the stay. All the briefs are in,
Hmm.
and so we're just kind of in a waiting game to see when the Supreme Court will decide whether or not it's going to take the case, and if it takes the case, whether or not it's going to grant a stay in the trial while it deliberates the case.
Yeah. We were saying, I believe it was our friend Glenn Kirshner who said that, likely, obviously, Judge Cannon, delay is her thing. She seems to be giving, Trump whatever he needs on that. But he was saying that that could give Chutkan an opportunity to get in before the election. It could.
Yeah, so one of the real smart things that Smith has done, I believe, is that he's set up Eileen Cannon as the time sink, right?
Yeah.
So like he's not trying really to try both Trump on both charges at the same time, but he's using Eileen Cannon's own complicity, corruption, and weakness to have that case be the one that takes a long time, while trying to fast track the case in front of Judge Chutkan. It's a really smart strategy. The problem is that that strategy can be stopped anytime 5 Supreme Court justices want to stop it,
Right.
and that's what we're kind of waiting to see if those 5 do in fact stop Smith. But if they don't, he's organized it quite well, where Chutkan's
Yeah.
trial, the trial on the January 6th insurrection charges, goes first, and the Eileen Cannon corrupt trial goes second, as Eileen Cannon, stands by her man. I guess. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how else
Well,
what she's doing.
yeah, it is. In light of everything happening in the world, including, Navalny, Putin, all of it, Trump's being financially compromised. I thought, Joyce Vance said the possibility of the documents case going to trial would take a moonshot before the election. She meant Trump is likely to go into the Republican convention and the election without being held accountable for dangerous mishandling of classified materials, something that should be unthinkable and would have been for Republicans in the pre-Trump era. I mean, it really is incredible the situation we find ourselves in, isn't it? And as you say, 3 Trump-appointed judges on the Supreme Court. So this all hangs in the balance. And don't even get me started on, I don't know, asking Fawny Willis who paid for a $100 dinner, and no one's asking Clarence Thomas who paid for every meal he's eaten practically for, I don't know.
100%, but I also don't let Republican, mouth-breathing Republican voters off the hook on that, right? Like, yes, Trump has not been held accountable for his mishandling and stealing of classified documents, but they know what he did, and they could just, not vote for him. They could not anoint him the leader of their party and cult. That is fundamentally on them for refusing to hold Trump politically accountable within their own party structures. Is one of the reasons why the Republican Party doesn't exist anymore. It is just the cult of Trump's personality party. But rest assured, average Republican voters have the power themselves to reject this criminal as the head of their party. Of course, they don't, because they like the criminal being the head of their party because of the misogyny and white supremacy that he brings them. But that's still fundamentally kind of on them. Yes, the courts, thanks to people like Eileen Cannon, are not moving fast enough. Yes, the courts, thanks to people like Merrick Garland, did not start the process of holding them accountable fast enough. But ultimately, the power is with the people, and it's just unfortunate that the Republican people are like this.
Yeah, yeah.